Hello, most colorful, creative, and brave art students. It's me again, Miss Friels, welcoming you to week 10 art lesson. What? We've been in school for 10 weeks? Yes, we have. And this week, we are going to be reviewing the last few weeks of art class. We are going to be reviewing all the things that we've been learning about and kind of pull all of those skills into this week's lesson and have a lot of fun doing it. So, welcome to week 10 art lesson, Fall Pumpkin Portraits and Review. We have been doing so much learning in our art class that I feel like this week it's a time just to sort of take a breath, remember and review all the things we've been learning, and also review at the end on how to turn in our art homeworks and where to find your art lessons. I will be including an additional video on our Seesaw to remind you of those things. But this week, what we're going to do is we're going to review all the things we've been learning about and take all of those things and create a fall pumpkin portrait. Now, don't worry. If you don't celebrate Halloween, you can still create a fall pumpkin portrait because fall is the time when pumpkins are harvested. That means fall is the time when pumpkins are picked. So whether or not you carve them into a jack-o'-lantern and put them out on your porch for Halloween, pumpkins are still harvested for pies. They're still harvested for lots of delicious recipes. So you can still create a fall pumpkin portrait. So let's go ahead and review a few of the things that we have been learning about the last few weeks and then think about those things as we move into this week's lesson. So week 6, we learned how to create our own characters. We learned how to create a cartoon character face, many different shapes, different cartoon character eyes, noses, and mouths, and we created our very own character. And then as we moved into week 7, we learned that the job of an illustrator is to create pictures for a book or a story to help us understand the story better. So we learned how to create illustrations to help understand the story better. And week 8, we continued with that theme, storytelling through art. So how we can tell a story or narrate a story just using simple pictures. And also, we had the chance to mix colors. So much fun. We learned how to mix basic colors. And last week, week 9, we also learned how to mix colors, but in a different way. And we learned how to use really descriptive language to describe those colors. So and also last week we learned how to create a portrait. We actually learned how to create a portrait of a face using correct proportions, like where we should put eyes, nose, and mouth on a more realistic style face. So this week I am going to teach you how to draw a simple pumpkin, and I am going to give you ideas like also on what you can do with your pumpkin portrait. But it's up to you to use your own creative brain to think of your very own ideas, and I can't wait to see your art. Okay, I'm going to go through a couple examples and get our brains warmed up thinking about what kinds of ideas we can do for a pumpkin, and then I'm going to give you some ideas, and it's all about fun and review this week. Are you ready to get started? Me too. Let's go. So once again, this week we will be creating a pumpkin portrait and use the skills we have learned over the last few weeks. We will explain who our pumpkin character is and maybe even create a little story. And our video will be a little bit shorter this week because, like I said, we will also review how to find all of our art lessons and how to turn in our art lessons with a separate video after this one. So I have included some examples of where you can go with your pumpkin portrait. These are 3 examples from students. The first one created a pumpkin portrait using some other pieces of fruit to add the different parts of the face. This pumpkin portrait is just a beautiful pumpkin glowing in the moonlight. And down here, these students created pumpkins using the skills that they learned as they created a character. So these are just some ideas to get your creative juices flowing. I am going to be starting my pumpkin drawing using a whiteboard. And the reason for that is because I can erase easily and practice different shapes of pumpkins. Pumpkins come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, right? And when I'm happy with the pumpkin I created on my whiteboard, I can copy it to a piece of paper, and then I can use markers, crayons, colored pencils, or watercolor paints to color in my pumpkin portrait. And I will be giving you some ideas, a lot of ideas in the next few minutes. So if you want to go ahead and grab your whiteboard right now to practice drawing a pumpkin with me, that would be probably the best thing. All right. All right, like I said before, I'm just going to start out by practicing drawing a pumpkin on my whiteboard. So I have my whiteboard and I have my whiteboard marker. If you have a whiteboard eraser, you can have that close by, or also if you just have a sock or a paper towel to use, that works just as well. Now, the best thing about a pumpkin is that it's an irregular shape. They come in all shapes and sizes. They're in general sort of a round, circular, oval shape, but no matter what shape you make, it will be correct because, like I mentioned, they're all shapes and sizes. I've tried many ways of drawing a pumpkin, but the easiest way is I just sort of make a sort of like a large oval shape without drawing yet, and so I'm just warming up my hand for the shape of a pumpkin. Now, your pumpkin might be more of a circular shape, might be more of a circle. It's totally up to you. Remember, you're the artist. But for the purpose of learning how to draw a pumpkin, I'm just going to draw a very simple, it's kind of like a circle, but more like an oval. And if it's a little bit lumpy bumpy like mine is, that's actually better because pumpkins come from nature. So they are not going to be a perfect oval or a perfect circle. Now let's draw the little stem, right? The stem is the little green part on top. And the way I like to do that is just create two lines following each other like that. Connect them on the top and also connect them on the bottom. Now, because I'm using a whiteboard, I'm going to actually erase this line right here. It's kind of in my way because my stem is actually going to come down a little bit beyond that line, and I'm going to connect it like that. It's a little bit more realistic, and I'll show you why when we make these beautiful ridge lines on our pumpkin. So I'm just going to use my finger right now because it's such a small line. I'm just going to get rid of that line right in the middle of my stem there. So now I have my basic pumpkin shape. You could totally stop here and create your portrait on your pumpkin if you want. However, I am going to show you how to make the ridges. Pumpkins have these beautiful kind of like lines, natural lines in them. So they have this natural bumpy texture. They're not 100% smooth. So let me show you how I do this. I'm going to start at the stem and I'm going to follow a line all the way down to the bottom of the pumpkin. So just watch me first. Start at the stem, following the shape of the pumpkin all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Start at the top, following that shape of the pumpkin down to the bottom. Let's do two more. From the stem to the bottom and from the stem to the bottom. If you need to try that again, you can. Now, obviously, your pumpkin is not going to look exactly like mine. We're different. We're different artists, we're different brains, so our pumpkins are going to look different. But if you can create a basic pumpkin shape like this, we can have so much fun with the next steps. So this is on a whiteboard, boys and girls. So I am going to go a little bit fast in my next video and show you what you can do with this pumpkin, how to create it into a portrait. All right, let's go. So let me tell you about my pumpkin character. His name is Henry, and he is a hungry pumpkin. He's waiting to eat a lot of candy with his friends, and he is sitting outside on a beautiful moonlit night with all the beautiful stars in the sky. I am super excited to see what kind of pumpkin portrait you come up with. And when you turn it into Seesaw, remember to tell me about your pumpkin character and maybe even a little story. Stay tuned for a video about how to turn in your art homework. I can't wait to see you guys. Thank you so much for making art with me again. And I will see you all next week. Bye.